Y'all, leaked footage just turned this whole case upside down. D4vd's manager, Josh Marshall, was just arrested by the feds after being caught on camera allegedly abducting 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and prosecutors say he could be facing life. This isn't some internet rumor anymore. This is the kind of story that flips overnight from gossip to national headlines. And trust me, the deeper you go into this timeline, the more disturbing it gets. So before we dive into how this all spiraled from whispers online to federal charges, make sure you're subscribed, because we break down the truth behind the headlines every single time, and you're not gonna wanna miss what's coming next. So here's what's going on, and why everyone's losing their minds over it right now. Just a few days ago, federal agents took Josh Marshall into custody after footage surfaced allegedly showing him dragging Celeste Rivas Hernandez, only 14 years old, into a Tesla that was later found abandoned. What makes this so explosive is that this isn't some random stranger. Josh is the same guy managing D4vd, the viral artist who blew up off Here With Me and signed with Interscope. Fans thought they knew the story. A tragic case of a runaway girl and an overworked manager caught in bad timing. But the timeline says otherwise. Back in early 2024, Celeste was reported missing multiple times. People around her claimed she was staying with D4vd and Josh, even though everyone supposedly knew she was underage. There were emails, actual receipts, warning Josh to send her home. One of those messages included her missing person flyer and details straight from the sheriff's office. And get this, Celeste did go home after that message got sent. But days later, she vanished again and somehow ended up right back near Josh and D4vd. That's not bad luck, that's a pattern. Online, fans started piecing it together. Deleted posts, D4vd going silent, and Interscope refusing to comment. To outsiders, it looked like just another messy scandal. But insiders? They were whispering that Josh knew exactly what was happening and ignored every warning. Now the law's involved, and everything that looked like PR drama suddenly feels like a full-blown criminal investigation. And the craziest part? The footage that surfaced isn't even the full story yet. The leaks are just the start, and what's still sealed by the feds might completely rewrite how we see D4vd, his team, and what really happened to Celeste. This is where the first real crack in the story showed up. The rumor had been floating for months that Celeste wasn't just some fan hanging around D4vd's circle. She was actually living under the same roof, with Josh Marshall right there managing it all. People thought it sounded too wild to be true, until a receipt dropped that changed everything. In February 2024, a family friend of Celeste emailed Josh directly, attaching her official missing person report and demanding she be sent home. That email wasn't vague. It named names, dates, and even warned that law enforcement was aware. And what happened next? Literally the next day, Celeste showed up at home. For a second, it looked like the situation might calm down. But then, out of nowhere, she disappeared again. Weeks later, people who knew her said she was seen back around Josh's place. That's when the internet lost it, because if Josh saw that email, and we know he did, then he couldn't pretend he didn't know she was a missing minor. Fans started cross-referencing her last social media posts with D4vd's tour schedule, and the overlap was chilling. Even worse, a few behind-the-scenes clips started circulating showing a girl with Celeste's same hair and clothes, riding in a Tesla identical to D4vd's. So if Josh really had no idea, why did that same car later turn up abandoned with Celeste's body inside? You see how that doesn't add up, right? Every move Josh made after that email looks calculated, like he was keeping her close, not helping her leave. And if that's the case, the so-called manager might have been managing a whole lot more than music. Because that's not just negligence anymore, that's complicity. Here's where things start getting really dark, because once fans started lining up the timeline, the pattern that came out was too specific to ignore. This wasn't just one bad judgment call from a manager. Josh had a history of being around messy, controversial situations. Before working with D4vd, he was managing Lil Mosey back when those serious allegations hit. And somehow, Mosey walked away clean after Interscope's lawyers, yes, the same ones tied to Josh, got involved. Fast forward and we're seeing the same formula again. Silence, denial, and cleanup. Every time something went down, Josh disappeared from socials. The artist stayed quiet, and fans got stonewalled. Even blind items on industry gossip pages hinted at a young manager who protects his artists at all costs, no matter what's hidden in the shadows. Around that time, TikTok users started digging into D4vd's One More Dance video, pointing out the disturbing parallels between the visuals. Dragging a body, hiding it in a car trunk, and how Celeste was later found. It was eerie, like life imitating art. Then people began noticing repeated sightings of Josh and Celeste together at LA cafes and studios around March, long after she'd supposedly gone home. These weren't random coincidences. Fans had timestamps, clips, and photos. And when they compared D4vd's travel schedule with Celeste's last known locations, the overlap was undeniable. It looked like a pattern: control, silence, and proximity. That's why people stopped calling it bad optics and started calling it a cover-up. Because if Josh really didn't know, why was he always there, just close enough to everything, yet never saying a word? And the deeper you go into that pattern, the clearer it becomes. This wasn't random. This was orchestrated. And then the timeline gets real messy. Josh Marshall didn't stay silent forever. He came out swinging once the rumors got too loud to ignore. In a public statement posted to his socials, he flat out denied ever living with D4vd, denied ever having Celeste in his care, and insisted he never even received that email with her missing person report. He framed himself as a family man, reminding everyone he's got 3 kids of his own and claiming this whole story was just people spinning false narratives. On the surface, it sounded like damage control 101. I'm innocent, my family's hurtin', please stop. But fans weren't buying it. Within hours, screenshots of the February email were circulating online, complete with timestamps, sender info, and attachments. People also started resurfacing photos of Celeste at events connected to D4vd months after that supposed email. And then came the social media cleanup. Entire Reddit threads about the case vanished overnight. TikTok hashtags linking Josh and Celeste's names suddenly had 0 videos. Users realized the only active moderator of D4vd subreddit was D4vd himself, meaning he could remove any post that made him or Josh look bad. To fans, it looked like a coordinated effort to wipe the slate clean just as the heat was turning up. Even Interscope, the label backing D4vd, stayed eerily silent, issuing no statement at all, despite mounting public pressure. The contradictions just kept stacking. How could Josh deny knowing Celeste when she had reportedly stayed with him twice? How could the label act like it was unaware when the missing person report had been sent directly to someone in their artist's camp? If that's the official line, these 2 details still don't add up. And it's exactly why the internet's convinced there's a much bigger story being buried. Everything blew up when the leaked footage finally dropped. A short, grainy clip hit Reddit first. Someone dragging what looked like a young girl into a Tesla parked near a Los Angeles apartment complex. Within hours, multiple users matched the location, plate number, and even the car's custom rims to D4vd registered vehicle. Federal agents confirmed the video was part of the ongoing investigation, and soon after, Josh Marshall was taken into custody. That was the moment fans went from suspicious to outraged. The same car from the footage was the one found abandoned weeks later with Celeste's remains inside. Prosecutors say she'd been gone for days before being discovered, and the smell from the trunk is what led tow yard workers to open it. When police searched the vehicle, they found a bracelet with the letter M engraved on it, the same initial Josh had worn on his chain in multiple photos. Maybe coincidence, maybe not, but the internet didn't think so. Even worse. Neighbors said that Tesla had been sitting in the same spot for weeks, occasionally moved just enough to look normal. People started connecting every dot they could find. Josh's denials, the vanishing posts, and the eerie music video where D4vd character hides a body in a trunk. Suddenly, it didn't feel like an isolated tragedy anymore. It felt staged, predicted, and horrifyingly real. News outlets picked it up, and by the next morning, #JusticeForCeleste was trending worldwide. Still, as shocking as the footage was, insiders said there's even more evidence the feds haven't released yet. Audio, timestamps, maybe another angle. If what's public already looks this bad, what's behind sealed files might just destroy what's left of Josh's career. And maybe D4vd's too. But the fallout? The feds charged Josh Marshall with federal kidnapping, obstruction, and tampering with evidence. Charges that could land him in prison for life. Industry insiders started whispering that this wasn't just about one bad night, but a months-long cover-up designed to protect a profitable artist and keep the label's image clean. Remember, D4vd was on the verge of another tour. Brand deals lined up, streaming numbers soaring. A scandal like this could tank everything overnight. And while Josh cupped the fall publicly, fans couldn't ignore how silent everyone else stayed. D4vd hasn't posted since the arrest. Interscope's socials have been locked down. No statements, no comments, nothing. That silence, more than anything, screamed guilt to fans who've been tracking this case for months. Then came the money trail. Leaked invoices suggested legal retainers were quietly paid out weeks before the arrest. possibly to prepare for what was coming. Add that to Josh's long reputation for handling things internally, and you start to see the bigger picture. Some people think he was just following orders, protecting the artist that made his career. Others say he was running his own play, keeping everyone in the dark while trying to control the narrative. Either way, the math isn't mathing. A 14-year-old is gone, the footage is real, and the man in charge of managing an artist's future just managed himself into federal custody. The real question now, was Josh acting out of loyalty, or was this pure self-preservation? Because if this was chess, he made the wrong move. And if it was chaos, it's finally caught up to him. Was this about saving a career or covering a crime? Now that Josh Marshall is sitting in federal custody, the internet's asking one question: what don't we know yet? Because if the footage, the emails, and the timeline are only part of the story, then what's still under wraps might be even darker. For starters, nobody knows who leaked that Tesla footage. Some fans think it came from inside the investigation, someone tired of waiting for justice. Others say it was a studio insider trying to distance D4v before the truth hits the press. Either way, the timing was too perfect. Then there's D4vd's silence. Not a single statement, not even a repost. His team went ghost right after the arrest. People close to him claim he's been cooperating quietly, but no one's confirmed if he's been questioned or cleared. The label's silence, too, is raising eyebrows. If Interscope really had no knowledge of what was happening, why are lawyers reportedly showing up to closed-door meetings about contractual exposure? Then there's the question of the unreleased evidence. Prosecutors hinted at additional digital materials, but they haven't said what's on them. Audio logs, deleted messages, maybe Jeep's data from that Tesla. If any of that proves Josh's connection goes deeper, or shows D4vd had awareness, it could blow open everything we think we know. Fans are demanding transparency, but the feds are holding everything close, saying it's still an active case. Until that evidence surfaces, all we have are questions, timelines, and a mountain of suspicion. And that's where this story flips, from speculation to survival mode. Because what's coming next might decide not just Josh's fate, but D4vd's entire career. So y'all tell me, was Josh Marshall really just a reckless manager who got in too deep, or was he the puppet master behind everything? Either way, the truth is closing in fast, and the silence from D4vd's camp is starting to sound louder than any statement they could have made. This story isn't over, not by a long shot. Drop your thoughts below, because this one's splitting the internet right down the middle. Was it loyalty, or was it lies? Hit that subscribe so you don't miss the next update when the feds finally spill what's still behind those sealed files.